Hi and welcome to Halton Warren OO9. Today we're going to look at butterfly modelling and my plans for the railway. So butterfly modelling is a term I came over against recently, and it was on one of Charlie Bishop from Chadwick Model Railway, one of his videos. It's his video number 147, his autumn update, and he was talking about modellers that start a project, get it about 75–80% done, and then move on to the next project. Now that's what I do, and I've always put it down to that I don't want to get too bored or too tied up with a project. I want to move on to something else, start that, then I'll go back and look at the project I first started with fresh eyes. Now, is that the real reason? Charlie used a couple of examples. One was McKinley, the other one was Richard at Everard Junction, where they're put down their track first of all before they start any modelling, any scenic modelling at all. It makes a good idea. Get your track down, get it running, make sure it all works properly, and then start doing the scenery, and then you can move around doing bit here, bit there. But at least you know the line's down and it works properly. So that's what I've taken on board, and that's what I'm going to do. Charlie said that he's going to draw a line in the sand, and so am I. I'm going to get my track work done. And the reason I've come across and thinking about is the fact that with me it's confidence. I normally find things go quite badly wrong for me from time to time. Even simplest jobs, I lose a tool or something breaks, or when I do it, it doesn't work, or if I buy something, it doesn't work. And every time that knocks my confidence. But I've got to take the bull by the horns now, and I've got to get this track work done so I can get trains running, and then I can concentrate on the scenery. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you what the problems are with the current layout, and then talk you through what my plans are for the future. Okay, we're going to start in the middle of the railway. I'm going to try and not make you too giddy while I'm doing this. Don't want anybody being seasick. But the plan was to have this area as the engineering works. We were going to have the carriage siding here, a siding here, or sorry, carriage works here, siding here, and then the engineering loco works here. This is a PW line that comes round, and they have a little siding to keep your truck in. At the back of that was going to be the fiddle yard, which tucked away there. By the time I've got a backboard in there, it's not going to be easy to get to, not going to be easy to see. Now if I swing around very slowly for you, over here, if you can see that, is the station area. The problems with this is it's too cramped again. There's 3 lines going into it. I was trying to base it on Laxey railway station up on the Isle of Man, where there are no platforms, it's just level ground. But with this one I've done here, there's no space between the carriages for passengers to get on and off. So the idea now, I'm going to cut that down to 2 lines. The other problem here is that I have got, if I can slowly zoom in for you, quite a bit of point work going on there. Now I'm not convinced that a narrow gauge railway in Victorian Edwardian times would have gone to that amount of trouble. So my plan now is to get rid of those. And when the trains come in, the engine will uncouple, move forward. A second engine will come in behind it, couple up, and then take it away. Now if we go back over to here, we have got the storage sidings, which again are quite complicated, lots of points. And the problem here is that the trains would have come out, moved up to the station, where they would have uncoupled, run around, reconnected to the front of the train, run back into the fiddle yard, uncoupled, run around, connect to the front of the train, and then run back to the platform, to the station. Now the odd train might have gone into the sidings, or it might have gone into the engineering works, but I don't want to spend 50% of my time playing trains where I'm uncoupling and coupling trains I can't even see. Now that is part of the reason why I extended the sidings at the back of the line here, and have now built this branch line that comes all the way down here through some scenic area at the side of a river, because I like the 7 value railway and the way that does that. And then into what will be here a little halt station and a quarry at the back there. But at least I've got to run the trains and I can see the trains going backwards and forwards. But I still have the problem here of the trains just shuttling backwards and forwards and having to change the engines every time. So what we're going to do is take all the track up from this board. We will be reinstating the works because that's my main interest. I love all the old infrastructure for the engineering works and for Victorian buildings, and that's my main interest and that's what I want to develop. But I also want trains that are going to run round, have storage space. I don't have to keep taking the engine off the front and reversing it or running it round to the front and reconnecting it. So on the back here, where the storage yard is now, that will now come up to a Helix, which will be in this back corner, and then that will go down underneath, and then there will be a fiddle yard underneath the main baseboard. So the next thing to decide is, do I do the Helix first or the fiddle yard first? So I'm going to do the fiddle yard first, and I've been looking at designs online. Most of them seem to be a ladder design with straight tracks. So I've had a measure up underneath the baseboard here, and the space is quite restricted. So I need to find a different way of doing it. Again, I've looked online for ideas, and I remember seeing a long time ago somebody who used a curved fiddle yard. So I've got a copy of Any Rail 6, which I've used in the past a bit. So I thought I'd give that a try and have a play around. And what I've come up with is a fiddle yard that's kind of a ladder design, but as I say, the lines are actually curved. This has reduced the overall length of the fiddle yard by a good 18 inches, maybe a bit more, which means it will nicely fit in below the main baseboard. The other thing about the fiddle yard is, as I said, I don't want to be fiddling around either shunting trains or running around engines from the back to the front of the train. I don't want to really do too much handling of trains either, or of engines. So I want the fiddle yard to be a loop. Now obviously the problem there is polarity, if I can say it correctly. So I've got a Gauge Master auto reverse loop device which I'm planning to fit, and that will sort that problem out for me. Okay, so the next bit is the Helix. Now originally I was going to have a drop of 12 inches between the level of the main baseboard and the fiddle yard. Now looking at the side of the baseboard at the moment, I've already got probably about 5 or 6 inches of framework here, so I'm going to have to drop the fiddle yard down to about 18 inches, and therefore the Helix will need a drop of 18 inches as well. Now I could sit down with a pen and paper and work out all the dimensions, how much wood, how much track, etc. I need for the Helix. But looking on the internet, I came across a web page called modelbuildings.org. That has got a calculator for the design and building of Helixes, and it's very straightforward. You just put in about 4 or 5 bits of information, push the calculate button, and that will come out with a load of information. How much material you need, how much your gradient's going to be, so you know that your trains will be able to get up and down it. The distance between the levels of the Helix, so you know your train's not going to crash into the roof. And it's well worth having a look at that. So I've had to play with it. I've worked out what I need to do, and I will be following the information it's given. Now the other side is, how much track will I need? So my actual loop of track will be on a 12-inch radius. From there I could work out, again with a piece of paper, what the circumference is, but again on the internet there's plenty of sites that tell you how to, or will calculate the circumference for you. So 12 inches will give you the circumference of the circle, and that's for one level. So you then just multiply that by the number of levels on your Helix, and that is then divided, in my case, by 914, which is the length of a piece of flexi track in 009, and that will tell me how many pieces of track I need. Now for a foot it's about 12, so I'm assuming, because I haven't worked it out yet, that for 18 inches I'm probably talking about 18 to 20 pieces of track. £4 a piece of track, as I say, it's getting quite expensive. Add on to that the money for the track for the fiddle yard, and costs are definitely adding up. Right, so that basically winds it up for today. I hope you found it interesting. and enjoyable. Maybe you'll tune in again another time. These videos are very basic at the moment. I'm still fiddling around trying to find my way around YouTube and also the edit program for the videos. But I'm getting there. It's all a learning curve, isn't it? So till next time, bye bye, take care and happy modelling.